Unlock the door. Barriers to movement. Make the world poorer. Only voters can remove them. Voters could make the world twice as rich. Why don't they? How to make immigration more palatable in rich democracies. Imagine you're offered a job at triple your salary. But first you must pass through a locked door, and someone with the key won't open it. You might be willing to pay them to let you through. Whether this is fair or not is beside the point. They have the key and you don't. If you give them a portion of the increase in your wages, you'll both be better off. This is not a bad analogy for global immigration policy. When migrants move from a poor country to a rich one, they typically make 3 or 6 times as much money, 6 times as much money, 6 times as much money as much money as before. If everyone who wanted to migrate were allowed to do so, the world would, by one estimate, be twice as rich. Make 3 or 6 times as more money as much money as much money. But this fast gain cannot be realized because most would-be migrants are forced to stay where they are. The door is locked, and the voters in rich countries hold the key. Is there a way to open the door? Hardly anyone is considering it. Instead, the debate in rich countries veers between fear-mongering and moralizing. Nationalists from Donald Trump, America's president, to Viktor Orban, Hungary's prime minister, portray immigrants a threat to the culture, wages, and even lives of the native-born. Pro-migration liberals, by contrast, are quick to dismiss those who disagree with them as racist and mouth slogans that seem almost designed to alienate voters. Several Democrats in America talk not of reforming but of abolishing ICE, the agency enforcing immigration laws. A more practical approach would be to think in terms of benefits, cost, and how they will be distributed. The biggest beneficiaries of migration are migrants themselves, who earn far more and in many cases escape from oppression and sexism. Their birthplaces benefit from the money they send back home and the knowledge they bring back when they return, which usually more than makes up for any brain damage, any brain drain. The benefits to host countries are hefty too. Skilled migrants check pulses, write codes, and help local firms do business with their home countries, homelands. Migrants are twice as likely as the native-born to start a business, and 3 times as likely to patent an idea. Blue-collar immigrants provide cheaper plumbing, childcare, and parcel deliveries. By one estimate, 83% of native-born rich country workers benefit from immigration. Migrants may drag down the wages of workers with similar skills, but the effect is so small that economists are not sure if it exists. The biggest cost of migration is hardest to measure. It is cultural. Many people like their country societies the way they are. Some people bristle when they hear foreign languages on the bus or when a mosque replaces a pub. Migrants tend to cluster, some places change uncomfortably fast. Such feelings are inflamed by demagogues who widely exaggerate the threat from a tiny minority of migrants, especially from crime. Overcoming these objections can be hard, but not impossible if policymakers observe the four principles. First, border control matters. Borders perfectly reasonably cannot abide the chaos. Governments must set and enforce rules about who comes, rules for who comes. Second, migrants must pay their way. Most already do, but it's crucial to design policies that encourage this by making it easy for them to work and hard, at least for a period, to claim welfare benefits. Third, be creative. Australia's points-based system is often praised, not least by some Brexiteers. It favors migrants who are young, English speaking, and have useful skills. It is quick, transparent, and welcoming. At the same time, Australia pitilessly excludes anyone who tries to enter without permission. Australians mostly support the system because they feel in charge of it. More market based systems are also worth trying. Countries could auction visas to the well heeled. In addition, for those who cannot yet afford to bid, they could allow more migrants in, but apply surtaxes to their wages for a period and transfer the money to citizens. If this is the price of entry, many migrants will choose to pay it. And if voters see an immigration dividend, they may find that new Moscow does not bother them as much. Fourth, pace matters more than absolute levels. Political resistance to migrants spikes with a sudden surges in immigration. In 2015, net immigration to Germany more than doubled to 1.2 million, leading to a backlash. Yet the share of the population that is foreign-born is 16% compared with the 26.9% in Australia. This shows that a country with the sensible policies can be almost twice as open to migration as Germany, with, without even a hint of the disaster that nativists predict. On the contrary, Australia has a lower homicide rate than Germany. Its people live longer, and it has not had a recession since 1991. Many Australians grumble about congestion in the cities, most popular with migrants, but this is fixable with the taxes those migrants pay. If the flow is steady and orderly, and if the newcomers are encouraged to support themselves and adapt to the host culture, immigration can be higher than most rich countries allow today. Singapore is 45% foreign-born, and a byword for prosperous tranquility. Countries can open up incrementally with the conditions, and reverse course if they choose. Today's anti-migrant mood makes all this seem unlikely. Far from opening the door, many Western countries are double locking it. Yet this creates an opportunity for others to snapple the best brains repelled by chauvinism, to lure the most enterprising migrants, and once again to become lands of opportunities.